Hey, sorry for the radio silence. The last few weeks have been a little bit crazy. However, the good news is that I successfully defended my doctoral research last week, which means now, after corrections, I'll officially be a doctor. Woo! Which is amazing. It's been a bumpy road to get here, and a lot of stuff's happened along the way when it comes to my own education, really, right back from when I was young. I guess when something big happens in your life, then it gives you the opportunity perhaps to reflect. And something happened last week as well, which made me think about the journey that I've undertaken and what going to university meant for me. So, at a large event for widening participation practitioners, the university's minister, Michelle Donnellan, did a speech. And what she said within the speech was that too many people were going to university, that university was essentially being dumbed down because of the amount of people going, and she was arguing that standards were getting lower as a result. Now, this doesn't sit very comfortably with me for a number of reasons. Firstly, was that this was a room of widening participation practitioners that she was talking to. So, people that for the last few months have been working with some of the country's most vulnerable young people, trying to get them access to the internet, frantically developing online resources, in some cases, just providing basic educational materials so these students can study from home whilst they can't access the school building or learn in the conventional way. And another thing that she did, which again I found quite annoying, was attacked contextual offers. Now, contextual offers, for those of you that don't know, are basically a mechanism for university admissions that means your background is being taken into account. So, say if you apply for the University of Birmingham and the entry requirements for the course are two A's and a B. If you are from a situation where perhaps you've been at a school that has lower than the national average GCSE results, perhaps you are a young carer and you've got caring responsibilities at home, or you had a disrupted educational trajectory and it means that you were less likely to apply to higher education because of all of these things going on in your personal life that are out of your control, what contextual offers would do would say, instead of you needing two A's and a B to get into this particular course at this university, we're going to offer you an A and two B's. And the reason for that is because we are incredibly impressed that regardless of all of the other things that you've got going on that have made your educational experiences more difficult, you have still managed to achieve those A level grades regardless. It's something backed up by a lot of research by organisations such as the Sutton Trust. I'll share a link below if you're interested in reading it. But anyway, the idea that the university's minister said contextual offers were essentially dumbing down really, really irked me because it's not the case and it's not particularly fair at all. Now, I love university, obviously, I'm just completing my PhD. It'd be a bit strange if I didn't like education and I got that far. But what I'd like to do for the rest of this video is tell you exactly why university means as much as it does to me. If you want to find out more about the university minister's speech, I wrote a blog on it for an organisation called WonkHE, and you can find a link to the blog article in the description below. So, when I was in primary school, there was a significant event that happened in my life that I found quite traumatizing, and essentially led to me developing something called separation anxiety. Now, this means that I found it really, really difficult to attend school regularly. From years six, probably till about year eight, I was lucky if I attended school for maybe a full day a week, which meant that I missed out on an awful lot of learning during that time. It also meant that when I got back into school regularly, I'd missed that part of the process where people make their new friends in high school. The town that I'm from is quite a working class town in the West Midlands. And, it's one of those towns that going to university wasn't necessarily the expectation for what was going to happen. When I got back into school, I started smoking and drinking and getting into fights in an attempt essentially to make friends. Now, this didn't work very well at all, and within a couple of years I found myself asked to leave that school. So I got expelled at the end of year 9 and I moved to a school about 6 miles down the road in a city called Lichfield. At this school, it was a very, very different culture to the one that I was in. University seemed to be an expectation, like everybody who went to this school was going to go automatically, and it wasn't ever expressly said, but it was implied through conversations you'd have with teachers or through the types of things that were in the library, and also the way that the students approach their academic work. Whilst at my first school, it was, you know, if you try hard in lessons, then actually you're a bit of a geek and a keno. At this school, the cool kids were the ones that were doing well in their subjects, whilst also sneakily doing all the naughty things that you do as a teenager alongside. In hindsight, this change in school was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. I managed to stay on for sixth form, and although I was predicted particularly low grades in my A-levels, the University of Wolverhampton took a chance on me. I applied for a drama degree with my low predicted grades, and they said yes, essentially. Although the university was fairly local, I decided to move into student accommodation to have that university experience. I can honestly say that I'm not a Hollywood actor at the moment, or will I ever be, really. And the back of my head was on Doctors once on the BBC, but that's about as far as my acting career went. The university itself was a post-92 university, a modern university. With the way that Michelle Donlan was talking, you could argue that my experiences were pretty much the epitome of everything that she said was wrong with the higher education sector in that speech. However, university for me, an undergraduate degree, was transformative. Firstly, it gave me the space to be authentically myself. I'd never been in a position before where I could enter a new place and people would just take me at face value for being me. Secondly, it gave me an opportunity to develop confidence, to live independently, to make new friends, to get politically engaged and involved. When I was at university, I was quite heavily involved in the Students' Union and I absolutely loved it. The drama degree as well. When I first arrived and I was doing a performance, I had the shakiest legs for the first 12 months because I was so nervous. I wasn't used to getting up in front of that many people and performing. But gradually, that lessened and lessened. And actually, a lot of the work that I do now is speaking to camera on YouTube or standing up in front of large audiences and delivering presentations. None of that would be possible without the drama degree and without the university experience. And whilst I haven't gone into drama as a profession, you know, I haven't been an actor, those skills and experiences and that freedom has provided such a strong foundation to build the person that I am today off. It was really transformative. And that's why I got into the area of work that I have, which is widening access to university, because actually I wanted to help people from a similar background to me unlock those opportunities and those benefits that I've experienced. And because of that, I found it quite annoying that the university's minister said what I had experienced was some dumbed down version of higher education, like just because I didn't go to an Oxbridge or a University of Birmingham or Bristol University, that somehow my educational experiences held less value, and that actually the only way that university can be useful is if you're going onto a job in science, technology and engineering. Now I haven't, as I say, I entered into widening access work after working for a little while in a hostel for homeless young people. That profession and that experience led me back to education, but it led me back to education in a very different way. So I was conducting research for my PhD in education and inequality. I wouldn't have been able to do that, and I certainly wouldn't have been able to be in a position now where I say I've just passed my Viva and, you know, I've got to do some corrections and then I'm actually being awarded a PhD as a doctor without studying drama at the University of Wolverhampton. Universities like the University of Wolverhampton and loads of other post-92 universities, ones that aren't 3As at A level to get in, are so important and so valuable. I am so thankful that there was a university out there that I applied to that, given I'd been expelled from school, given that I was predicted low A level grades, still decided that they were going to take a chance on me and steered me in a direction where, in a small way, in my own small corner, I can hopefully make a difference to other people's lives. And that's why higher education is so important, and that's why I found it particularly offensive that this university's minister was talking about a dumbed down version of university for educational experiences that were just like mine. I'd advocate for everyone to go to university or study in higher education at level 4 qualifications. Doesn't matter how you do it, doesn't matter if you live away, if you live at home, if you do it at college like a HND or a HNC, but it's so valuable, those opportunities to not only learn new things but also find your place in a world that, as with COVID-19 is proving, is a bit topsy-turvy at the best of times. So that's it from me. In conclusion, go to university or study in higher education, regardless of how it looks, it'll be brilliant.